Hey, it's Izzy, and it's game time. This week, something I wanted to touch on is an age-old battle that everybody knows. Consoles. So, are you PS or are you Xbox? And why? Now, I've been asked that question a million times, and I think one of the biggest arguments is, well, it's something I've been playing my entire life. A lot of people say that about PlayStation or about Xbox. I've never played PlayStation. And I know that loyalty is kind of a cop-out when it comes to arguments. It's kind of childish, like, well, no, I can't compare it to PlayStation, so I can't exactly say why I like Xbox more, but it's just something I've been playing my entire life, and I've always gotten the new consoles, and I really love it. So I'm not necessarily saying that's the best argument, but that's kind of one of those arguments that I do hear the most. However, I can speak logistically with this kind of stuff. So for instance, PlayStation has more graphics processing units, so more GPU, which means that their graphics are a lot better, and when you see it on the screen, it looks a lot more clear than Xbox typically does. Another thing PlayStation has, Sony's messing with virtual reality. This can be dangerous territory for me. Now, obviously, I love gaming. I think it's amazing. Something about virtual reality brings it to the scary point, though, where people are really going to lose their sense of reality. And sometimes you see these types of virtual reality games, like in movies and stuff, where people will go off into just this open world where they can just create this second life. Why would you ever want to leave it if you have everything you could ever want in this virtual reality? However, I know it's not getting to that point yet. Virtual reality is more so just like going on roller coasters and driving race cars and that kind of stuff. Still think it's kind of scary territory, but Xbox isn't even close to jumping on virtual reality. So obviously, if that's your thing, then Sony's probably more of a product for you anyways. Another thing PlayStation people like to say is that it has a much bigger selection of games, and I will give you that. Now, I know Xbox has the Game Pass, which means there's a ton of different games that you can choose from. It's like a monthly membership that you pay for, and you can get whatever games downloaded on your Xbox that you want. When it comes to PlayStation, I mean, that's the one that typically has all the sports games and stuff like that. A lot of RPGs on PlayStation. I would say Xbox is probably more for first-person shooters and stuff like that. So it really depends on what your niche is in terms of gaming. Xbox backwards compatibility, really important. We can play things that we have on our 360 on our Xbox One, which is really nice. It's a lot cheaper than the PlayStation, believe it or not. Whenever any of the new consoles come out for either Xbox or PlayStation, Xbox is cheaper, which then in turn means you could use that extra money to buy other things. Like, for instance, I've got the really nice Turtle Beach Stealth 700s. I mean, these are like 150 bucks. I love these things more than anything. This is what I game with. And if you have extra money left over, you can get something like this. I've also got the really nice Xbox Elite controller, which isn't exactly cheap, and you can go ahead and make any of these buttons whatever functions you want them to be. You can set different types of controls on here, which is really cool too. So that's one upside when it comes to Xbox. They do have really, really cool accessories for that kind of stuff too, which I am absolutely crazy about, obviously. Another thing, Ultra HD Blu-ray player on an Xbox, which is super nice, especially for somebody that really loves to watch movies. This thing's perfect for you. And along those same lines, there's a lot of multimedia that you can do with the Xbox. I've got my HDMI cable plugged into it, which I know a lot of people do. But the cool thing is you can go ahead and like put your cable through your Xbox so you can watch TV through your Xbox. I do a lot of streaming on like Netflix and stuff like that. You can use it as your computer. Like, there are so many different things that you can do with the Xbox in terms of that is really nice that the PlayStation doesn't necessarily have. Now, one other argument that I heard recently, and it could just be depending on whatever game you play, but Xbox tends to be more social on Xbox Live than on PlayStation Network. So I was recently talking to a friend who, I think he played, was it COD? It might have been Call of Duty. But it's some kind of, first-person shooter war type game. And he said that he doesn't even use his mic because nobody uses their mics. And I'll be honest, I mean, yeah, I've been playing Halo my entire life, and obviously as time has gone on, it's dropped in sociability. You don't really get as many people that play with mics nowadays in general, but apparently Xbox is a lot more social. And the reason I found that out was because I was teaching him how to play Halo 5 one time on my Xbox, and I was sitting there on my headset. I had like 3 of my friends on my fire team, and we were all talking, and he's like, I don't even know how to talk on online, to be honest, because I am never around people that actually talk while they're gaming anymore, because he has a PlayStation. And he said not as many people are sociable like that. However, I do have other friends that play Destiny or Fortnite or stuff like that on their PlayStations, and it does tend to be very social. However, it's a lot younger of a crowd on those types of games than it is, say, on Halo 5, where I've maybe run into like 2 kids that were like 10 years old in the past year, and everybody else is typically like the age of a dad, they have kids, they're my age, or maybe they're 18. So it's definitely a lot different when it comes to that kind of stuff. 2 completely different worlds with Xbox and PlayStation. Obviously, I'm a big Xbox fan. I always have been. I've got nothing against PlayStation. If I ever get heated about that debate, it's just because I'm loyal. But I really have nothing to totally back it up because I've never touched a PlayStation. So I can't exactly back that up with loyalty as an actual argument. But I'm curious what your favorite console is and why you like it so much, or maybe you don't like one for a specific reason. Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you have any gaming questions, you want me to touch on any kind of game that's coming out, maybe a new console, anything gaming related, you got a question about the stuff I use, anything like that, you can always go ahead and leave those in the comments too. Make sure you go over to Legends Games and More on Blackstone and Knees. Check out their awesome store over there. It's a place where you can buy, sell, and trade games and consoles. They've always got really cool stuff over at Legends, so catch them and game on.